call the meeting to order here tonight for the April 16th regular meeting of the Town Center Advisory Board. May we please have a roll call?
Vice Chair Stephenson.
Present.
Committee Member Wilton.
She's excused. Yeah.
Committee Member Castillo White. Present. Committee Member Hill.
Yes.
Chair Knight.
Present.
Committee Member Rizzo. Here. Committee Member Stevens.
Here.
Committee Member Terrell. Committee Member Prickett. Committee Member Winters.
Here.
Thank you. Let's please stand as you are able. And Jim, would you lead us tonight in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now let's go ahead and open it up for any public comment on non-agenda items. I see a couple members of the public joining us tonight, Paul and Heather. Are there any comments that either of you would like to make?
Paul Wilcox, Troutdale.
Go ahead, Paul.
Since there isn't anything on the agenda, I just had a question if there are any updates on the Confluence and Ethos. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Paul. Heather, do you have any public comment you'd like to make? Give it a couple seconds here.
No, thank you. I'm just here to observe. This is my first meeting.
Thanks for being here tonight. Just so you know, generally we run a pretty open conversation. If you had a comment on the topic at that time, feel free to raise your hand and submit your comment. Glenn, did you have anything you want to bring up, non-agenda item?
I don't. I just wanted to sit in on one of these.
Thanks for being here tonight.
Your group is very important for the city.
Thanks for being here tonight. Okay, let's skip to number 4, downtown update.
I'll start off with the first update, which is loading zone. And we have had conversations about loading zones in downtown before. We talk about loading zones in the town center plan. And most recently, we talked about loading zones in the downtown parking study. We had a loading zone area in the past, and that area was actually taken out, and it was taken out by business owners' requests because that loading area wasn't being used. But most recently, and this is why I'm here tonight, we've had a request from a business owner to put in a loading zone area. And they're going to be making that request to Multnomah County Transportation Department because they oversee the East Historic Columbia River Highway. But I reached out to the Transportation Department and I wanted them to know that I would be reaching out to TCAP to get input from you so I can relay it to their staff. So we can have a full conversation, not just with Troutdale staff, but also with the Town Center Advisory Board to get your feedback. So the loading zone for this area, let me pull it up, that they're requesting for. I can show it to you here in just a second. Is this area right from, is this Harlow? I forget. Sorry. Harlow, and it would extend about, anywhere between probably like 3 spaces, so anywhere between 40 to 60 feet. I don't have an exact measurement, but it would be between Good Coffee here, this patio, and somewhere over here. And the business owner who is making this request and looking into it is the new restaurant and boutique hotel at that location right there on the corner. And primarily they are asking for a loading zone area for, they have said both passenger vehicles, so people that are like pulling up and using and need a quick loading zone area for their hotel stop to drop things off. But they've also indicated that, they may have, some smaller like trucks pull up with like produce and whatever they need for their restaurant. They had mentioned to me, and I gave them some feedback, and I'm going to share it with all of you, that they would really like the, if they're allowed a loading zone in this area, they would like a loading area zone sign that would say, hotel guests, unloading loading zone. And my feedback to them was, really this is, it's a public street. It should be, we shouldn't call out specific businesses in this loading zone area, just to be fair for downtown businesses. If any downtown business needed to use this loading zone, they could, and that should be the point. So that's the feedback that I have provided them. So tonight I'm looking just for feedback from all of you, if you have feedback.
Okay, the first question before you finished your statement, I was going to ask if it was time sensitive. So like if loads, like in Sugar Pine, I know they get really busy, so the loading trucks come to unload super early in the morning. They have their time, so they get what they need to get done, and then they're gone. So that made a little bit more sense to me, for that. And then the guest thing, I get it. It's you want to make it easier for your guests to check in. But at the same time, I would think that Celebrating Home and all the others would like a spot in front of their place for their guests to come and check in as well. I'm excited about the building. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. I'm sure I know I'm gonna go check it out and be a patron, but I'm thinking if it is, it'd be time sensitive, and it would be for everyone. Everybody's done a really good job as of late, all the businesses trying to make it work. We haven't skinnied up our roads, which is awesome because it's made it so it does work for the people delivering and stuff like that are able to do so without much cumbersomeness. So since I live and I have to go through there multiple times a day, I'm a frequent user of the road, and I'm not having trouble with the guys delivering. They do their job. They know what they're doing. They try to squeeze in. They're very excellent at it. So I haven't seen an issue for the loading. So that's my input. Thank you.
And I can kind of piggyback off what you said, Diane, about times, because I did ask them that question too. Like I asked them, what time will your guests be arriving, and what time will your guests be leaving? And the checkout time will be right around 11 in the morning. So anytime before 11, people would be checking out, and people would be arriving. Check-in time is right around 4, I believe they said. So that's great feedback, and that's something that the county can consider.
Danny?
I think it could become an enforcement kind of nightmare. I know that in the past, like the dentist office asked for a spot for people that have been under anesthesia or something that was reserved for pickup and drop off for those. And we said no to them. And I think that, you know, if we do this, then we're gonna have, the sushi place is gonna want spots in front of theirs, and they're all gonna want spots. And then I think you're gonna have all sorts of problems because people aren't gonna be able to find a place to park. And you're gonna kind of exasperate a problem. I'm probably a proponent of having a loading zone. But I think with that, I think most deliveries can't take place within 15 minutes. By the time you get a truck in there and get the lift gate down, get the pallet off, get the pallet in, get it checked in, get the guy back in the truck, if he can do it in 15 minutes, hire him, because he's really, really good. So I think that'd be kind of hard, but having something specifically for the hotel, I'm not in favor of.
This is okay.
What?
This Sherry. Okay, so right now I'm just kind of drawing a blank as to how that boutique hotel is situated. I mean, could on a side street, like, do they have parking for their boutique hotel? No, okay. I just, because it kind of seems like to me exactly what you're all saying, and having been at some council meetings in the past and knowing how parking is such an issue, and then just thinking, well, why wouldn't every restaurant would have pickup and delivery? You know, if I'm picking up something from De Pompeo, I don't like to have to walk down the hill and go get it. So it seems like everybody would want something, and that does seem, you know, like you were saying, not so good. And I totally, time was the first thing that came to mind was, oh, well, you know, if it allotted parking, it was just like in a limited amount of time, that it was a loading zone, like from 7:30 to 9:30 in the morning or something like that, it might be an understandable. But the pickup and delivery, I mean, the drop off and that kind of stuff, I mean, yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, I think it's, my personal opinion is it seems like it would be unfair to all the other businesses.
Just have one more comment. I'm not sure when the yoga gals and gentlemen do their thing, but there could also be if it's conflicting with the time that, you know, that happens in the morning and stuff, it just might be a good idea to say, hey, could you be courteous to, because, because if they take over everything, it just like heads up as a business owner, just consider telling your people that maybe don't park there during these, I don't know. I'm just saying, just thinking about how neighbors can be good neighbors to each other if there's still a way to try to be neighborly about it without instilling, very restrictive parameters.
Is there still loading and unloading that takes part just with the trucks parking right in the middle of the street right now? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Typically, they pull over into the bike lane though and double park versus being in the middle of the street. It doesn't normally.
Yeah.
I think with them having to cross traffic and having all of the things that they're carrying or pushing or whatever, that they usually feel safer if they can just double park.
Yeah.
In the bike lane, so it does cause conflict for any cyclists coming.
I think that's what I was
drivers.
thinking of when I've come down before. Yeah, okay.
It's very difficult to get a truck in when you want them in.
Yeah.
Especially in today's day and age. I mean, unless you're really somebody, you can't dictate it. They're like, we're coming at 3:00, have a nice day.
I will say most of the delivery drivers downtown are very efficient. They don't take longer than they need to. I don't think any of them want to be in the middle of that street longer than they have to. I know for First Friday, Bandits gets a delivery from, I think it's Breakside Brewing every single time right before we're about to close that road, and I'm always like, come on, let's go. But yeah, they're usually they try to be pretty quick about it. Some of the businesses have also asked their delivery drivers to utilize the lower level parking. So I know that Ristorante di Pompeo has all of their DoorDash or delivery pickups occur at the lower level and not on the main street. And Celebrate Me Home, who gets deliveries of very large furniture orders very frequently, that all happens behind the business. So that's never occurring on Historic Columbia River Highway and conflicting with traffic.
Yeah, I suppose for myself, it is a request for a loading zone, but it's very much for them, especially with the ask for the hotel guests only sort of thing, and that just opens up a huge can of worms. Which if that happens, then yes, again, every business is going to be wanting that as well. At that point, with the idea of a central business district loading zone, maybe there would be some sort of thought or planning or research into most usable for everyone on the strip if we were to go to that idea. I am super excited about the hotel and restaurant, but there was an opportunity to turn the side lot into parking, and that choice was not made, potentially from the development on the side there. I don't know if that's zoning wise that could be happened, but potentially on that side could have potentially been turned into parking for them.
Parking right there?
Yeah.
No.
No, okay. Yeah, that's excited for it, but and I appreciate the ask and want to welcome them into the community with open arms, but we have to consider who else we are is downtown. Sorry, for stumbling over my words.
I have a question. If, like, right in that area, there was, whatever it is, you said, maybe up to 3 spots that it's deemed a loading zone, would that prevent somebody who's unloading for anywhere? Like, they would get in trouble? So if somebody pulls up to unload for, I don't know, going to yoga?
No.
They go.
It would be anyone.
pull up.
It would be anyone. It would be completely public, and usable by anyone in downtown.
So if it was still something put there, but not deemed specifically for them, they could still utilize it? Okay.
So you could have, you probably have seen these. They're the green and white signs that say parking 15 minutes, loading and unloading. Those are pretty standard signs that you see around. I mean, that could be a possibility. And then it allows kind of a quick short-term parking turnaround. If you need to just run in somewhere for 10 minutes to drop off some paperwork, you could park there and leave. Now, we don't necessarily enforce downtown parking limits, but it provides an opportunity for short-term parking.
Comment on that? The only thing about that is, I think a lot of other people would like a loading near them, that was a short term, again, to grab their pizza. Like Dakota Coffee's gonna have, I'm excited, organic coffee, we get to try another coffee. So they would want in and out too, and so the thing again is, and then when you're talking about the loading zone here, I'm sure the trucks like to get as close to the door because they're on a route, it's like Amazon, you have to get your job done, you have to move on and get to your next place. So I think most drivers want to be as close as possible to the door or their place to drop things off, so.
Okay, I'm gonna feel a little bit of extra, I don't know, sympathy or something for this boutique hotel. If people are coming to stay, they are carting in their suitcases and stuff, as opposed to being professionals that unload and load things regularly, having a spot a little bit closer as opposed to parking somewhere a long ways away and toting luggage. Again, I don't know what it looks like if it was just a straight loading and unloading zone without the 15-minute. At least maybe somebody gets out with their stuff. They can probably walk away from the car and not get caught. I mean, I'm thinking anyway, maybe. And again, I appreciate the everybody would take something closer to them just for a little bit of convenience. But I kind of feel like with luggage, there might be a piece of that would make it a little bit better for them to be successful. I don't know.
I guess question, trying to keep everybody fair, and if everybody wanted one, what would it look like if every business had a 15-minute loading zone? Does that mean the entire strip is all 15-minute loading? Okay.
Yes.
So it is kind of one or the other.
And I think that they're the business that has made this request, but what Erica has emphasized is that this wouldn't be for an individual business's use. It would be a public loading zone for all businesses, hence why we don't want to say hotel loading only, because then that would limit it to the one thing that is down there that has, so that it ultimately does, while not being private, it would become private because that's the only hotel downtown. We do have a lot of people who pick up and drop off people downtown. I see a lot of
Uber drivers, DoorDash.
people getting their haircuts.
Yeah.
That's a very common one. I see people picking up and dropping off in front of Columbia Gorge Salon and Spa quite a bit. Driving over curbs sometimes, a lot too. We don't have a lot of ADA parking spaces in downtown, especially on historic Columbia River Highway, and we've added 2 in recent years, but it has come up that there is a strong desire to add more, and we do get a lot of public feedback from people who say that they need a more accessible place to be dropped off. One thing I think that we might consider, I think in what you're considering right now, you've got the loading zone, which is more geared towards the truck drivers. And then you've got the hotel guests, the passengers being dropped off and unloading their luggage. And I think that it's almost like 2 separate requests. Even though they've made the one request, I think that downtown there could be an argument for maybe on both Harlow and Dora converting one of the angled parking spaces that's closest to historic Columbia River Highway into like 15-minute drop-off zones, or 15, those pickup, and so then every business can utilize it for DoorDash or dropping off a loved one or whatever it might be, and that would meet the hotel guest side of things, but it might not necessarily meet the other request, which is around the delivery drivers. And so then, with the parking study, the delivery driver thing did come up. But we also we haven't had too many conflicts that I'm aware of. Frank cycles the street a lot more than most of us in this room, so he might have a very different opinion about that, though.
Yeah, this is Frank. Thank you for bringing up the ADA. That's and the handicap, designated parking for disability. I think we need more downtown, definitely. I'm seeing a lot of drop-offs at the bump outs. One of my hobbies is grabbing coffee with my dog at the coffee shop and just watching people do U-turns between door, or go the wrong way on a one-way, or go over the curb, or block the bike lane, or, the list goes on. But you're not seeing a huge issue here. So, I appreciate their thought process of convenience. If I were dropping off an ADA person, like someone that I would stop at the bump out, hit my flashers, and I've seen this done tons of times, and then let them out, and then luggage whatever, and then just move on your way. And that's what we're doing now. So it's working. Is it blocking the bike path? Yes. Is that a bad thing? Potentially, but it also slows traffic down. So as a biker, I see that sometimes as a win, because that means guys coming both ways are now slowing down. So instead of doing 25, 30, 40 miles an hour in downtown, they're actually going down to the speed limit, which is kind of nice. I just don't see an issue here, especially with the times. When I go down at 8 o'clock to do my morning run, there's no one on those streets, dude. It's empty. And then by 11, it's starting to fill up. By lunchtime, it's pretty much full. But those side streets, and we've talked about this with parking, a lot of people just don't know where to go. So those side streets are still open. When I go up Dora or Harlow on my bike back, those are empty. second, third, fourth, those are all empty, so, yeah. Some of the note, you guys hit really all the big points, and I would agree that I just don't see the need. Although, if they wanted to, I'd recommend that they get with the other businesses and have is there a central location that we could designate for this parking? And I love the Harlow Dora one-ways as an option, because that's city, not county, which gives us opportunities. So, yeah, and then obviously ADA comes to mind. It's like I'm looking at my 8 and 80-year-olds, what's going to best benefit their safety. Is this going to have an impact on them? I don't think it will. I think we're doing pretty well right now. So, yeah.
Can you give clarification on what you mean by Dora and whatever as possible loading zones?
Yeah, so Dora and Harlow, and Marley mentioned this as well, potentially if they're interested in drop-off, like for luggage and things like that, they have the
You're
option.
talking passenger, not
Yeah.
truck. I was thinking trackside.
Yeah. Although I've witnessed a few trucks that.
No, they try.
In fact, some that park there that could take up the whole, and their back sticking out, and yeah.
Yeah, that happens every once in a while, and we've also lost a bike rack or two from people parking very strangely, or trucks trying to park there.
That staple that was over a year ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had two of those hoops by Mayor Square get taken out by trucks, and so we decided, okay, we'll just have 2 bike racks.
It's a subtle
not
hint.
3. It was always the same third one. We were like, it looks like it's just gonna be 2.
Yeah, it's just, which, hey, it took care of itself, right? And then you have the covered parking just literally up the street, so.
Right, exactly.
There's enough parking for bikes in that area. Yeah, so the Dora and Harlow is for drop off for those.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea.
For those hotel residents, that just makes sense to me. Yeah, and I've seen this done in Europe a lot, where it's like the downtown area is basically cordoned off for cars, but you can drop people off because you still have hotels there. So the drop off section, they come in, they drop off, and they go to their designated parking. It's fairly common. There's you don't see a sign that says loading zone, it's just a flow. Yeah, it's a county road though, so. What kind of input do we have on it from a city standpoint?
Good question. I don't know. I know that they're gonna be, asking us for our input. And I also want to have a conversation with the business owners about other solutions. And some of those other solutions were brought up this evening, such as, short-term parking on Dora and Harlow. One space on each. That would allow short-term parking, throughout the downtown area.
I'm just wondering too, clearly the other businesses have been functioning with drop-offs of stuff, produce, because of that, different things like that. Have any of them had complaints that their drivers or that their delivery people are struggling with?
Annie is nodding yes. I think when we did I think when we were doing the initial town center plan, there was some commentary, but when we did the parking study, it did not come up.
It did not come up during the parking study, no.
I just kind of wonder if the hotel could be reassured by other businesses that it's not an issue, or it shouldn't be an issue. I don't know, maybe that would convince them that it's something that, if it's not necessary, it's not, I don't know.
Right.
It's on-street parking, so anything that's done would really be a courtesy, right? Because you can't dictate public parking. There could be a request made.
Yes, a request.
But I was gonna say, Frank brought up a couple really good points, that when you have deliveries going on, which you do, it tends to slow people down. And I do think we need more ADA spots than what we have, because those seem to fill up relatively quickly. But for me, there is a safety issue when you've got semis, which you do, parked kind of in the middle of the street, and people can't really see around them very well.
Yeah, 7-Eleven is a great example.
And they take off and go, and then there's somebody coming, and then there's other problems that can be created. At some point, I think we'll need to have some type of a loading zone, that can accommodate the trucks, because that problem is not gonna go away. And when we think about deliveries for businesses, most of it isn't Amazon or UPS. Most of it's a panel truck or it's a semi. And more and more, like I said today, you don't really have a choice of when they come. They come when it's part of their route, and you're just kind of stuck with it. So I think we should consider that, but I think that if we have a loading zone or for drop-off, it should just be 15-minute parking, period. Not even call it a drop-off, just this is 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's 15 minutes for anybody or everybody.
So
Go ahead, Jim. Oh, sorry, Frank, sorry.
that brings up the next question of enforcement.
They know. We currently do not have like a parking enforcement officer downtown. If we designate, a spot on Dora and Harlow as 15-minute parking, people could stay there longer. I feel as though if we do get a lot of complaints about people utilizing those spots, more for 15 minutes, we could, talk to we could talk to the right folks to see who can, rate parking violations.
Go ahead, Diane.
I was going to suggest the 15-minute for everyone as well, because we're talking delivery drivers, but there's everybody else who picks up something at Lolo's, Sowell's, and the burrito shop. I know my daughter-in-law does that all the time. So then it's available to anybody, because if you're younger, then it's fine. It's raining and you can go find that spot or whatever. But then I like the idea that it's 15 for whomever, so that, so it's non-discriminatory. Again, it's a night, and then we can modify as needed.
Yeah, for sure.
This is also reminding me of a conversation when we were talking about the parking management plan with the planning commission. There was conversations around whether people come downtown for lunch, if they can't find parking, they'll choose not to come downtown to pick up food. So the 15-minute spaces could also open up some more opportunities during lunch for people to pick up like a quick burrito or make an order online and then just swing by and pick it up and feel like they actually could pick it up instead of writing off downtown as not an option for lunch because they don't have anywhere to park and run in really fast and grab it and go. So that also opens up that opportunity too.
Woodrow, go ahead.
Thank you. So again, my question was along the lines of a part of the discussion we were having a few minutes ago, but isn't there a construction trailer currently parked along Harlow in some parking spots?
Yes, and that's temporary.
Okay. How many spots does that take up right now?
3 or 4.
Yeah, I want to say I think it might be 3.
Okay. So we do kind of have a precedent of blocking off spaces for a single business, right?
You permitted that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's temporary. It's a temporary construction trailer.
Okay.
Do that?
Yes, and they've been permitted.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Actually, it's going to be a fast food truck.
Any other thoughts, comments?
Well, this has been a great conversation. I think we have talked about some solutions that, could work for the community and how we can make it fair for downtown businesses as well. So I appreciate all of you.
Would we be able to let us know when this county does come up and
Yep.
maybe time that the citizens might be able to?
And I think I'm gonna have a different conversation now with the business owners. From the conversation that we had here tonight to let them know, how TCAP was feeling and talk about some of the solutions that might work for them, such as having a 15-minute parking, designation on both Dora and Harlow.
Go ahead, Frank.
Sorry, just knowing the area, doesn't the owner also have that blank space right across the street? Same owner, right?
The property owner does, not the business owner.
The property owner does, but the business is separate.
Correct.
Yeah, I was just wondering about, it's just dead space right now, and I remember you actually mentioned that would be a great parking location potentially. So, but, yeah.
I think we're gonna be talking about that space here.
Are we?
That's just a moment, that's the next item. Wonderful transition.
Yeah.
And there we go.
The one other thing I was gonna say, and we've talked about this in the past, but another potential 15-minute parking space is on Buxton next to the Highlands trucks.
Yes.
So the curb bump out hasn't been constructed by the county yet, but once that is constructed, that combined with the fire hydrant makes almost no parking in that section possible. And so we've had conversations about potentially designating that as 15-minute, and that would also help with deliveries.
Well, they're using it as a load zone now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But we do have people who park too close. We've had a lot of complaints about people parking too close to the intersection or in front of the fire hydrant, so that would also help us.
Yeah, once that bump out is completed
That'll
by
help
the
a
end of
lot.
the summer, that problem will go away.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and go to the next topic then.
Sure.
I can-
Yeah, you can kick it off.
Okay, I'll kick it off. So the parcel directly across the street from the new boutique hotel and restaurant, the vacant lot that currently has the fencing around it, that property owner has come in and has made a planning site design review request through the city to do some improvements to that site to make it activated for the summer and winter. And right now they are currently looking at regrading the site, putting in some grass and also some gravel for chairs and benches. They have some longer term, they have a longer term vision for that site. But right now they're kind of just looking at what can they do minimally to activate that site, to make it feel part of the community, part of downtown. And to get rid of that chain link fence that's been around. And so, yeah, so right now it's kind of more like open space. But eventually, I think that they would like to put in additional improvements that would, complement the restaurant and hotel, and eventually, at some point in time, construct a building or, construct something on that site.
Go ahead, Frank.
Wow, on topic. I just had this conversation with a gentleman on the Troutdale Trail this morning. Because he said, hey, why can't we put a playground there, or chairs, or tables, or build in a space? And I'm like, typically, it's because of legalities that deal with, liability as a property owner. So how is the property owner dealing with that? Like, is that an issue? I thought it would be, but maybe I'm wrong, I don't know.
I don't know.
So I guess what I'm saying is, okay, he puts in tables, he puts in grass, he puts in a green space, which I love this concept. But does he have to have additional insurance?
Most likely,
Yeah.
most likely.
I mean, from a business owner standpoint, if I were downtown and I saw him doing this, it'd be like, yes. Now people will grab their food, they have a place to go sit down, especially outside on a nice day. It's away from the sidewalk and traffic potentially. This is a plus. I'm seeing a lot of pluses here. Yeah. So I'm trying to find the negative.
Go ahead, Shirley.
Well, that's what I'm gonna ask, what are they getting out of it?
I mean, right now, it's just an eyesore. So it detracts from the attractiveness of the hotel that's across the street and of the restaurant that's across the street. So the primary goal,
Okay,
it's to make it look nicer and to do something. I think that they're hoping that they can make it sort of this like temporary commercial event sort of a space
Like a
where
pop-up
like you
space.
could have a pop-up food cart one day that comes in and does something, or you could have a little concert on the lawn that they create. And so they've been tossing around a lot of different ideas, but just wanting to activate the space more and have it not be a pit. Troutdale's pit. So that's what they're looking at. They submitted a couple of different site plan options. One was very basic. It was just, grading, grass, gravel, very simple. The next step up was creating zones for little like micro retail pods or food cart pods, or even the sauna on wheels.
Yeah, sauna on wheels.
I actually saw one of those in my neighborhood the other day at Selwood Riverfront. I was like, oh, that's what just
That was
coming to Troutdale.
So LAD 500.
Yeah, so that potentially is one of the things that they're talking about. The property owner is working with an event coordinator who would like to, she actually just applied for a grant. So I don't know if it's gonna happen this summer or not, but potentially have some agritourism related events. That would basically celebrate different ingredients, like, this is the strawberry month. And the vendors there'll be someone selling strawberries, there'll be someone selling strawberry cheesecake, there'll be a strawberry earring vendor, whatever. It would all be themed around whatever that ingredient is, and trying to connect with the farms within the Mount Hood and Columbia River Gorge tourism region. So we're hoping that maybe that could be something that, comes out of it too. The property owner also lives up in Corbett, and she wants things downtown that she would want to go do. So she wants to see fun things happen as well. So I think that there's, it's not just someone from out of state who's trying to build whatever to make a buck. It's she lives here and wants it to be cool for herself too.
And the community.
okay.
And question, this would all be open to the public all hours, or is it gonna be fenced, gated?
No, she has plans for a fence. She has plans for a gate to secure it at night. It would not be like accessible after certain hours. I don't know if it would be accessible every day or if it would just be accessible with certain events. I've also had a conversation with her about porta potties for our events, because there's never a good place to put them downtown, and if this is all getting regraded, potentially we could move. The city already installs 2 public porta potties all summer long that are up at Mayor Square parking lot, but that's not very accessible to most people, and most people don't even know that they're up there. So we're having conversations with her about, could the city use a portion of this site for these public porta potties that we install. And would those be within the enclosure or not within the enclosure? But yeah, she definitely would want to have a fence and a gate. And landscaping.
That's, all that would be covered under code as far as what it looks like and.
I just have one more thing. And maybe it's not a saturation. It kind of seems within Troutdale, there's already a lot of like food carts. So I guess in my mind, like having more competition with more food carts. If that was like they rolled in at times, seems like it could take away from all the food businesses in Troutdale, food carts included.
Yeah, our code has a limited time on the amount of time that specific food carts can be there if they're not an actual food cart pod, like Troutdale Station and like the Highlands. So the owner is aware of what it's
Those
like
limitations are.
days and then or 90, it's
It's
90 days
90
and then
days.
180 days.
Yep.
So I guess if you add 180 days up twice, then it's 100 days and then 360 days. But anyways, so she is aware of that. She also doesn't appear to have the intention of wanting it to become a permanent food cart pod. And also believes that there's a lot in downtown. The ultimate goal is to develop the site, but with the market and with everything right now, I think that's gonna be really challenging. And I think that the success of the hotel and the restaurant will also have a lot of influence on what happens on the site and how she could pitch it to other potential tenants.
I love the idea of like celebrating something. You're talking about that, and then that seems like that could draw in people that want to be there, especially for a little bit of that too. So.
Really cool event idea, yeah.
Go ahead, Danny.
So I love the idea of cleaning up that block. We've been working on that for, I don't know, like 15 years or something. So it'd be really good to get all the rest of that done. But when it does come to the food cart piece of it, we've really kind of done a lot with Meals on Wheels over in the Kendall, over in that area and on Buxton. And I do think it can be problematic for some of our sit-down restaurants. Because if you think about it, we waived SDCs for them, and one sewer SDC is $12,957. And then I believe, isn't it $1,000 a chair after that
No.
for restaurants?
No, for restaurant, well, it's by ERU, so a
Right.
restaurant is a certain number of chairs equals an ERU. Yep. Right, so what is it? One chair is 0.12 ERUs. I think the restaurants is 0.12 for a pizza parlor, it's 0.9
Yes.
is for a coffee, or
That's
no,
right.
sorry, a bar lounge tavern,
Yes.
it is 0.6.
Yeah.
It's 0.6,
0.06, sorry. So it's
0.06.
0.12, 0.09, 0.06.
So it's 0.06 for a restaurant.
So if you had like a 10 chair restaurant, it would be 10 times 0.12 is how you determine how many ERUs you have. And then an ERU is the 12,000 whatever dollars. So then you do that times your other number.
Right, so like if I had 10 chairs, I would be another ERU, so to speak. If I had a restaurant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, I'm just hypothetically. So I'm 12,009 to have a restaurant to start with. And then if I have 10 chairs, I'm another 12,009 because that's another ERU. Right, so I'm now at 25,000, so to speak. And we've done this a couple of times where we've waived these fees and then had to backfill them from the general fund to get restaurants in. And I support that because I think we need restaurants, but I think, and then there's the whole free market piece, but you get to a point where if you're not paying all the same fees, your overhead isn't the same as somebody else's, and you can sell food cheaper than somebody else can, and you could eventually put them out. So I think we just kind of have to decide, what model and where we're gonna put it.
When they did their pre-application, Public Works did talk about the SDCs with them, and I think that all depends on what the use is.
Yeah.
And if there are food carts or retail or whatever it might be.
And if those food carts are permanent.
Yeah, if they're tying into, so if it's a food cart, I think they're not proposing doing the sewer connection.
I don't believe
maybe
so.
they are. Either way, that changes whether or not,
A cart.
how the
would go in.
SDCs are calculated.
Yeah.
The one thing about the SDCs is, it's actually kind of beneficial for them, is if they were to do this use and have to pay a certain number of SDCs right now, because this is the property owner applying for it, the property owner will then have those for any future development. So they're actually paying a lower rate of SDCs than what they would pay 10 years down the road when a restaurant comes in and wants to pay it. So it's actually better for them to pay it now, and they would get a lesser rate than if they pay it later. So that was something that did come up during the pre-application, is the conversation around SDCs.
Do we allow them to prepay SDCs and trips?
In what? In
Like
trips?
what do you mean, like prepay?
Like,
People that have their permits approved, or?
When you go to develop a site, you may not have any use for it, but you're like, I anticipate this, so I want to buy this many ERUs, this many trips.
I haven't encountered that.
I don't think so. That would be really good. The one to look that up on would actually be the neighboring site, Discovery Block, other side, because that was built as a shell. And what I believe happened with that is that they did not have to pay SDCs on sewer. It was when the tenant improvements came in,
Yeah.
and that's when they did the SDC calculations.
Some places, they allow you to prepay those.
I think historically, we did in the past, like there were these prepaid sewer credits from like 20 or 30 years ago that some people still hold the titles to. But I don't believe that there's a way that you can buy those now. I think that was a
No,
one.
not buy those now, but if somebody's going to develop something, can they prepay the SDCs up front? And can they prepay trips?
Your SDCs are paid when your building permits are issued.
Right.
So if you, it depends on if you're building a shell or if you're building a tenant improvement. So I think that the sewer is the only one that waffles, and probably the transportation.
And the transportation as well.
But the water is based on the water size, so that would be paid with the shell.
Yeah.
And parks is not paid on commercial. Correct. So then it'll be-
This is Frank. You brought up transportation. That raises another question with another food cart in that location. And, how would that impact the transportation flow, the transportation stuff? I mean, that is bring in another restaurant, basically, even if it's short term. How would that impact the area? And do we need to look at that as part of the study, or throwing in Wayfinder? I don't think we expected the Wayfinder facility to be such a hit. I mean, we can see the traffic coming into that area. Kind of surprised us. So that would be my question, is if we're going down this road of putting in food carts, transportation impact should be part of it. Something to look at for sure.
Can I ask a question out of curiosity? So the site is now, is it classified as vacant or something? And you've used the word activated several times. I'm wondering if there's is that a formal thing that you have to activate something and now it's no longer vacant, or?
No, I guess, activate it for public use.
Okay.
So
So it's not a formal thing, it's just a.
not a
word.
formal thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's currently an undeveloped lot. So this would be developing the lot, but not in a highest and best use development of the lot. So we would anticipate that that would be a temporary development leading to a future larger actual construction.
Do the landowners need to put in or get approved some sort of long-term master plan? Is that what we're attempting to do?
So right now, they're looking at like a site design review through planning to allow, the uses that they want on site and the improvements that they want on site. The gravel and the grass and the benches and the chairs and the fencing and all of that. If something comes up later, we would have to, modify that approved site plan to, allow more intense things that they would want. But if they go ahead and develop that site, with a building or something, then it goes through another site design process through planning, and we look at, transportation impacts. We look at the whole kit and caboodle, so to speak.
Thanks, I'm just curious.
Diane?
Okay, I think it's really neat that she's trying to think outside the box and get very creative and get seasonal and bring things that are bountiful from the region and incorporate it in and make it some place she'd like to go. I get that. I like to go to Hood River, so this is nice. I think we'd all like it, bringing fresh, hopefully organic produce, but just whatever, just creative. Some of us remember that site was on fire. There was a fire that had happened there. And some of us remember a mayor that was running for mayor and had his hands on the fence, looking really sad through that fence at that site. So this would definitely be an improvement and something to celebrate. We're always going to have. I'm always for parking. I'm still hoping at the development side there's parking that they could come underneath or whatever, and maybe more people will get electric bikes from the neighborhood and come down to these places down here. I am concerned for the brick and mortars, but it's tough because it just incentivizes you to get creative, add to the menu, see what the niches are, see what the needs are. It's just tough. That's something we're not, as observers, I don't know how much control we have over that. So I'm concerned about the bathrooms. We're having an uptick in seasonally for people that do not have a home. And I'm seeing a lot more in front of my home. And so how the bathrooms are treated, whether whoever, if the bathrooms aren't in there and locked, if they will maybe have keys and be responsible for locking them, be partnership, if it's going to be part of the city's sharing, however that's going to work out. I do hope that they do shut down at a reasonable hour so that it's just not a new location for somebody to try to create it to be their home, and somebody's trying to get really creative with that side and make it enjoyable for the community.
Any other thoughts, comments, or questions? Is there any public comment on any this topic or any of the ones that we've had tonight, Paul? Okay. Well then, let's move on to staff communications with a reminder about the question at the beginning, which was any updates on the confluence and ethos process.
Yes. You want to do the confluence?
Sure. I have no additional updates about the Confluence site.
I was gonna say.
We're still having conversations, and I hope to be back soon with another update. I can tell you that.
The park is being very well used. On the west side. It is every day. There's lots of people out there. The greeters at the visitor center actually brought up today whether or not we need to put some signs at the 3 parking spaces next to the caboose that say visitor center parking, because they're taken up all day long by park goers now. You know, that is something we'll have to figure out. But the park is being very well used and very well loved, which is really exciting to see. The shuttle, the Sandy River Shuttle, AKA Trout Route, will be starting this summer. I just spent hours working on all the logo stuff and some of the marketing. I think I showed you guys a little bit of it last time, but it's very fun. It does have a couple fish, because of course it does. And we'll probably have to print t-shirts or something. I don't know. It's very fun, but it'll be on the weekends during the summer. It'll start Memorial Day weekend.
Which is coming up soon.
Which is coming up way too soon. And it'll go through Labor Day weekend. And it will run on holidays. Holidays and weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. It'll start, I believe it starts at 11?
11 or 11:30?
Just looked at this for hours, so I can't believe I've already forgotten. I do know that the last run with tubes will be at 4:30, so that there's no one stranded on the Sandy when the bus stops, because it takes a couple of hours to float the Sandy River. So if we were to drop you off at 6:30, you would not get picked up. That doesn't mean that the bus stops then. The bus goes to, I think the last run comes back to the outlet mall at 7:30.
Yes.
So it continues to, it can still take you to Dabney without a tube, or Glen Otto without a tube, or downtown without a tube. But the ones with the tube rentals will stop at 4:30 to try to make sure that no one is stuck.
And how frequently do they run?
Sleeping at Diane's at night. It will run, I believe that it is on the hour every hour.
Yeah, I believe they're about an hour.
We had talked, there was a lot of back and forth and discussion around how frequently it could run. One of the big challenges this year is the cost of fuel and insurance for our concessionaire. The grant that we got was assuming very different operating costs, very different operating costs than what is actually happening, because of how expensive things have gotten. Also, they purchased all the tubes and had to pay a lot of tariffs on the tubes. So, very happy that they're still in it with us because
It's been challenging.
It's been challenging, but they're very excited about this. They want this to become a permanent thing that they could, apply to be the concessionaire for long term. And so it's just costing them a lot more. And so we had a whole lot of conversation around how it has to just be 2 buses. It can't be 3 buses. We still got to work in their breaks and their lunches and take into consideration when the bus gets delayed, because
it will happen.
People longer to get on or off or whatever it might be. So I think we have it built out really well where it has a lot of buffer room for each of those stops. If something happens, it's not going to throw off the entire schedule. All the drivers will get their adequate breaks and lunches and everything. So we worked hard to get that all figured out. And I think that also on the hour, every hour is easier for patrons to remember. I also think that because it's not transit for work, the frequency is a little bit less important. Like, people will just adjust their trip accordingly. If they know that it doesn't come until 3 o'clock and it's 2:15 when they get out of the water, they'll go to Sugar Pine and get ice cream, or they'll walk around Glen Otto, or maybe they'll just lay on the beach for a little bit until it's time to come up. I don't think that people are going to be coming up the second they get out of the water and then just sitting there waiting for the bus for 45 minutes. They'll find other things to do to pass that time and then come to the bus stop right before that occurs. So soon we will have social media and marketing and websites and all of the fun things out and posted online, and you will all be able to share it with your family and friends. And
Any of you have questions?
So you're dropping at Dabney,
Yes.
and then picking up at Lewis and Clark.
We're not including Lewis and Clark this year.
Okay, just Glen Otto and Dabney. And you're anticipating how long from Dabney to Glen Autumn?
Well, we were anticipating 2 hours, but given there's been no snow this summer, or this winter, it's probably gonna be 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say unless it's a jet sled, it's gonna take a little longer.
Yeah. That's what our concessionaire has brought up multiple times, and so that's why they chose 4:30, which
Prices,
is
the
3
weather.
hours before instead of 5:30. Had it been a snowy year, it could have gone, and the last one could have been 5:30, but because of that, it's gonna be float down our dry creek bed.
They'll be walking down part of it.
Go ahead, Diane.
At 4 o'clock, it's a weird phenomenon. The wind kicks up. So if you're kicking, you have to do more work if you start at 4 o'clock. The wind just comes up and it swoops up, like goes up to the mountain. Same thing when I did Portland Saturday Market. We had to hold on to our tents or, have it, the things really weighted down. Same thing there, same thing for the Sandy River, because I've done that tons and tons of time. It's kick, 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 and you're going against the wind. You don't get as much of that, of the flow. So they'll figure that one out right away. And then if it's low, the water's low, then I'm hoping they're recommending everybody, they have to have shoes and that are secure because of all the rocks and stuff, because then you'll hit you could hit 2 inches. Or the deep pockets and stuff like that.
For sure, I do remember noting that.
Yeah, and that's where people get hurt and they're not prepared for that, so that's another one. So it's exciting that a lot of people get to experience that. When they get to the Glen Otto, you might have to put a sign to point to the restrooms.
Yes.
Because there aren't, nothing in between. Yeah, they'll find places in between, but we want them to wait till Glen Otto. But anyway, so the restrooms will get used more too. But I'd like to go back to the Confluent site. I'm really hoping that the town center worked a long, long time on our vision, what our hopes or aspirations were. A lot of their very beginning town center people were realtors, they were professionals, they were the manager of the outlet. There was a lot of time and thought that went into what the people that lived here would envision, the business community. That was more business heavy, which was nice. It was a lot of us. There was a lot of us there. I'm hoping that when we said yes, we'd like to see these guys run with it and we saw their plan and their vision. I'm really hoping if that vision doesn't even look like that vision anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that, because then it would almost feel like a bait and switch. I mean, and I know nobody's intending to do that, because I know the market's changed. I know there's different barriers and such, but that is, I feel for me, that is why I chose them. There was going to be their hole down the center. There was going to be some special places, and the first group, I love their maker spaces, and it was going to be something exciting and different, and something that would shine to bring people to our area and get to enjoy it, spend their money, and hang out in Troutdale a little bit. And so I'm really hoping that we do get an opportunity to be part of that discussion.
I've heard that multiple times.
And that was actually part of one of my comments that I was going to make during the board time. With that, Tanny and I went on the March 10th meeting to City Council, and that was one of the requests that we made, is that council asked us, is there anything that we can do to help you? And I requested that the council confirm that PCAB will still be involved in the process all the way throughout this. And I don't know if that has happened yet, but it has been requested to council that we be included in the process all the way along.
And I was just gonna say, are we to a point where we pull the net back into the boat and recast it at a later date? You know what that means? Where we just say, okay, maybe this isn't, the economy's not right, or the situation might not be right, and we wanna do this at a different time. I don't know, I'm asking.
And I don't have an answer for you, Tanny, tonight on that.
Any other questions for Eric Good morning.
The other things I was gonna say, sorry, is I was gonna let you know about summer events. We have the Cascadia Fine Arts Festival is the first summer event. It's happening on May 16th and 17th. That's not an event that's put on by the city, but the city does sponsor it, and it's throughout downtown. They have made a lot of changes and improvements and really listened to the artists and the businesses and are partnering with everyone downtown to pull off a really great event this year. So tell your friends and family. If you want to mail anyone a postcard about the event, you can pick some up from the visitor center. We have a lot of them. They've been printing these brochures that show all the featured artists, and I'm excited to see those come out. But yeah, they're doing a really great job. They also added a community concert from 4 to 7 or 4:30 to 7:30 with the event going on at the end there. So, those are always so fun during First Friday and at that time while people are out dining. So that'll be happening during that as well. And then June is First Friday, August is First Friday, and September is First Friday. Unfortunately, no July First Friday because it is holidays observed on Friday. City staff is, it'll be very difficult to find enough people to work it and to pay them what we would have to pay them.
Frankly, you're going up against Corbett and other things. so
Right,
it's not a good idea.
There's so much going on. It's already in July. July is always the hardest month to pull off. The weather is usually really difficult to deal with, and with people's travel, it's too much. So it's okay. So we won't have that. I have told the downtown businesses if they want to do anything, they're still welcome to do whatever they want to do within their businesses. It's just that the street fair won't go on, so they can't, obviously be in the middle of the street, but they can do specials, they can stay open late, we'll promote anything that they want to do, they just gotta let us know what they want to do. We'll see if that anything happens with that. June 20th is going to be we're calling it Summerfest. It is not Summerfest as you may all have remembered Summerfest to be, but it is the day before the summer solstice, so felt like a fitting day to call Summerfest. Anyways, it's Sharon Nesbitt Heritage Park grand opening, which is way too long to say, and Summer Bash at the Barn for the Historical Society. So we talked to the Historical Society, instead of saying Sharon Nesbitt Heritage Park grand opening and Summer Bash at the Barn put on by the Troutdale Historical Society, we decided Summerfest was easier. So it's called Summerfest. Our grand opening at the park will be from 10 to 1. And it's gonna be kind of like an inverted parade where we all walk the trail together and we are the parade. There may be some musical things happening. There may be some animals. There may be
Not sure how to take that.
cheerleaders. There may be all sorts of
Popcorn.
things. Popcorn. There may be free snacks.
Yep.
It's fun animals, I swear. Yes. And then the Historical Society is having their fun event at the barn, which is their celebration of the centennial of America. So they've got a whole bunch of fun stuff going on all day long for that. It's from 12 to 6 for them. We also just wrapped up filming a promotional video for the Sharon Nesbitt Heritage Park. Oregon Lottery, who provides funding to Oregon State Parks, who gave us a grant for part of the park, chose our project as one of the ones that they wanted to feature in a video, which was really cool. They did a whole wonderful, huge production. They interviewed Sharon, they interviewed the mayor, they interviewed the previous mayor, they interviewed Frank. Frank got to talk a little bit. They interviewed me. And it was very fun. So we can't wait to see that video and have that promotional material to be able to share about the park. So, and the whole time Sharon was over the moon about how beautiful the park was, and it was a beautiful day, twice in a row, when she comes out, it's just the most stunning
Anytime you
day.
invite her, it is good weather.
She's just sunshine, apparently. It's just like she comes out, it's just like everything's glowing. No, the whole time we walked all the way from the visitor center to the overlook and back. And the entire time she was like, I had no idea it was going to be this beautiful. This would be a great day to drink vodka at the park. It's so wonderful, you know, all the things. Classic Sharon moment. No, she was like, she was so complimentary of all the work that everyone did to make that park and make it happen and have it look as beautiful as it does. And she just kept complimenting how beautiful it was and how wonderful it was that it was there for the community, and how she's excited for all the families in Troutdale to have that park space. And she wants us to share the history of Troutdale, the signs that we're working on. So.
Go ahead, Terry.
Do you anticipate any confusion with Summerfest? Summerfest has been, in the past, has been like a really big deal. I mean, and now we're doing Summerfest budget version or recession version or however we're doing it, but do you anticipate any confusion with people? I mean, thinking it's like it was before.
I mean, I think that there's a brand recognition of it being called Summerfest. People know that Summerfest, I mean, people have been here since before, what was it, 2019, I think was the last one we did, or 20.
It's like Halloween 2.0 for trick or treat. You know?
Well, there will be free food and ice cream and stuff like that for people out there. It's not going to look like Summerfest as we know it, but also in looking at previous Summerfest, I think Summerfest has evolved a lot over the years too. It always had a parade element, but it has been many different things. Maybe we can bring back the Smelt King and Queen. That's something that hasn't happened in a while, you know? Taking nominations. If anyone would like to nominate someone for Smelt King and Queen, Princess, Prince?
Some things should just.
You didn't want to bring that part of Summerfest back?
I was just being a little selective.
I
Little
love
fried
it.
smelt on the crowns.
Bring it, just bring it.
They could dress up, they could come, and then we could pick from some of the little prints
wonderful-
or whatever.
That was your idea, wasn't it?
No.
We have some wonderful photos of the smelt royalty of the past. Smelt royalty. Also, in '94, Tanya Harding was the whatever they call it.
Grand Marshal.
No, when they announced the whole parade.
Yeah.
The
Grand Marshal.
Grand Marshal.
Tanya Harding was the Grand Marshal of
No way.
Summerfest. Do you want us to bring Tanya
Yes,
back?
please. I've met her twice.
Everybody makes mistakes.
I know.
So we can bring Nancy Kerrigan in or something.
Maybe we
Okay.
can write to the new Olympians and see if anyone would want to make a trip down. We'll crown them Smelt Queen.
Actually, we have the crew from Bourne, right? Sandy, the Olympians, Summer Olympics.
Oh, shot put. He lives in Boring.
Yeah, if anyone wants to start writing invites.
That would be a good invite.
Ryan Kraus.
There we
Thank
go.
you. Or Kraus, yeah.
We could set up a shot put.
Make our own Olympic torch that's
Yeah. With a
smelt torch.
smelt.
It's a smelt net lit on fire.
There we go. You see, you're full of creative ideas.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, or staff? Okay,
If anyone would like to help us with putting on that event too, feel free to reach out.
Yes.
Yes, we would love any,
Well, yeah.
anything, yeah.
We can put you to work.
Go ahead, Frank.
Did Jazz Festival's coming up?
Yes, sorry.
They in any way have anything going on in Troutdale?
I do believe that they have a couple events at the Via Tinto Wine Bar, some jazz nights over there. They should be on the Explore Troutdale website, because I know that Olivia is really good at sending us those, so they them up there.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if there's other events in Troutdale, but I do know that there's a couple over there.
yeah, I volunteered to help out, so.
Yeah. If you wanna have Kevin put it on the website, send him the info.
Cool. And then, Sharon Nesbitt here, primo spot for a jazz night.
I know. I have broached that topic with Dan Davey over at Mount Hood Community College,
Yeah, he and I
so
talked the other day too.
I'd love to have that happen.
Thank you both. Okay, let's go to board communications. You want to start us out, Woodrow?
If I can get my buttons to work. No, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Start over here with you, Victoria.
I'm fine. Thank you.
Frank?
I did acquire, we were talking about smell, so I actually have some, Troutdale design, I have stencils.
Oh, so it was you?
So I've
Tag
accumulated
that.
two stencils that can either confirm or deny. But if you need some stencils, they're available. Trout and any other things. Unfortunately, I will not be here in June. I'll be in Denmark, so.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, I'm with the Portland State University Sustainability Studies over in Copenhagen, so. Yeah.
Very fun.
Yeah, hopefully I'll bring back some good info for us to use.
Sure you will.
And some fish. Thank you.
Jim? Diane?
Thank you for letting us be part of these conversations. I'm glad that we're being involved in, and it's just good. It's good to be able to, for everybody to give input to all these subjects, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Let's see, I kind of already talked on the city council meeting that we were invited to. We had really short notice. Ideally for me, I would have loved to have a time to get to everyone to get together and have some time to talk about what we want to present. But I believe that Tanny and I did a pretty fair job of representing us. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and something that I was able to fit in with Erica, and that was the equal opportunities analysis. And the reason I would like to bring it up tonight is because I realized when I opened the meeting, I was the only one that wasn't being paid to be there. And I was the only person from the from the city of Troutdale that was there to be part of this. And so I felt that it was my responsibility for citizen involvement to share this information with as many people as I can. And so I share this with the CAC, and I'd like to share it with you all so that you kind of know what's happening. And if there's any feedback you'd like me to take to the next meeting, I wanted to give opportunity for that tonight, or call me, text me, whatever. But basically, and feel free to fill in any blanks. I'm sure I'm not going to get it perfect. But the city needs to go through and inventory properties that can be developed for employment. And this is a process that needs to happen every so often. I feel like we're a little bit past due, and it's been maybe close to 20 years-ish since we've done this last.
It's been 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah, we're about 2 cycles behind, so we want to catch up.
So we were able to take a look at the old one prior to the meeting, and then we saw a presentation from, I forget the group's name, kind of updating on what the current demographics are for employment, and kind of what the trends are. And one of the things that really stood out was that we are in a very high percentile of transportation and warehousing in Troutdale, an extremely high percentage, and obviously that's because of the logistics and warehousing happening with FedEx and Amazon and so on. Another very interesting thing was, I believe the number was 673 people live and work in Troutdale. Everyone else either leaves or comes into Troutdale for work. And so that live and work is a really slim, very slim number of people there. In discussing topics, kind of asked, like, what would you like to do? What do we want to see? And I think manufacturing kind of came up as a big thing, and there was different ideas for manufacturing, from food manufacturing to robots manufacturing, and those sorts of types of manufacturing. Chris Dangan from the Port of Portland was the representative, who is the majority landowner for that area. And the other landowner that was there would be McMinimans as well. And Chris interestingly said that, well, he said most of the easy lots are built out up there, and now there's more challenging issues on the remaining developable lots. But the Port of Portland's view, according to his statement, was that they probably wouldn't want to do logistics again or any more logistics. And they would potentially prefer manufacturing for other lots. And one of the things that came up was the area, the site's availability to access to energy infrastructure, and how both McMinimans and the port are receiving every other call, is what McMiniman said about battery storage. And looking into that, there's still been federal funding that has carried over from what was the first one? 2022 or whatever it was, Inflation Reduction Act, that also was then continued upon and built upon with Big Beautiful Bill. And so this has been how do you want to say it, both parties agreeing that this is something that's important. And the other thing that, and it wasn't necessarily that battery storage was necessarily the main thing that they were looking for. Very interesting thing that came up was the term energy production, and the quote was, firms would pay big for that. And so the question that I'd like to kind of tease out is, what does that look like? What does energy production mean? Something like clean jet fuel was brought up as one, battery energy storage as well. But again, there's also advancements and pushes in some very unique energy production types that are becoming more common and likely going to be part of our future. And I just want to make sure that any code or language that gets put into this, that we're understanding what that means. And what I mean by that is thorium and small nuclear reactors, thorium reactors, those sorts of things are probably going to be the future of what we're going to be looking at down the road for our energy solutions. It's carbon neutral and so on, and the rest of the world is kind of ahead of the race in that sort of thing, and there's potentially a site and a line, and just like the battery storage thing, potentially more federal government influence in pushing those sorts of new energy sources. And this is just my opinion and from my research and what I've done, and so just want to make sure that in any code amendments or changes that are happening, that we're going to really review those and make sure we understand what those things mean. But other than that, it was a really good meeting. There's a lot of great information presented, and I'm really excited about getting this done and seeing what we can do to push further employment in the city of Troutdale. Missed.
And if you want to look at any of the information, the presentation that the committee had, and if you want to review our old EOA from 2011, which is out of date, all that information is posted online. If you go to the city's planning page and you click on the active projects button, once you click on that button, it'll show a list of projects, and one of the projects is called the Economic Opportunities Analysis for Troutdale. You'll just click on that page and all the information is there. And that page will continue to be updated as we move ahead in this project.
And I believe that we'll have at least 2 more meetings.
Yeah, we're scheduled for at least 2 more meetings, and we hope to wrap up this project in early fall and to have council adopt it by late fall.
And that being said, I don't know if our meetings are going to coincide with that, so please keep an eye, if it's something you're interested in, keep an eye on that. Reach out to me if questions come up. Thank you.
We did get a little pass on the EOA before because we were doing TRIP. So that got us a little bit of time, but yeah, it's definitely something that does need to be done. And battery storage is kind of cool. It is kind of a little bit of a windfall for the city. And so those have got some advantages. And then I was thinking about the time that they were trying to put in a gas-fired plant down there. And that didn't work with the airport and the Gorge Commission and all of them. It got a ways down the line, and then So it's really kind of hard to say how some of those lots are going to end up developing, but yeah, some of the more challenged ones. But we had to keep those actually, the state had us keep those lots very large.
Yes. The state and Metro.
Yeah. And a lot of people aren't totally aware of that that's how we end up with the bigger footprints, is because we had regionally, we had the most industrial land.
I just want to say that's very smart.
Yeah, it is. And it actually, believe me, worked out very well for Troutdale and a lot of advantages for us. Yeah, that's all I've got. Good meeting, and thank you for bringing this to us and allowing us to comment on it. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that's what I would say is thank you. Appreciate having some input on that, so.
All right, well, if there's nothing else, we hear a motion.
Move we adjourn.
John.
Victoria, we have a motion first.
I'm very adjourned.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, everyone.
So who actually made that motion?
It was Tammy, and then I believe it was seconded by Sherry Lee.
So imagine
I had